Welcome back to another edition of Inside CHCA Eagles Athletics here on CHCAEagles.com and ESP Media powered by Sidearm Sports. My name is Jason Griefer. We're happy to be joined today by CHCA Assistant Athletic Director and also head baseball coach, Tony Schulz. Tony, appreciate the time here today. Going to kind of get an inside look at kind of the duality of the role that you have there at CHCA. Also, we're going to talk quite in depth about your baseball program because you have a rather good one right now based on where you've been last year and where you're at to start this season. But nevertheless, let's start off our chat here, kind of talking about the administrative side of things here again, because you are an assistant athletic director to Brian Schulz. He's kind of the new man on campus coming in and really doing some nice things early on in his tenure there. What's that process been like for you, being in the office every day and working with Brian and trying to develop that relationship with him at CHCA?
Yeah, it's good. This is my, can't believe it. This is my going on 7th year in the athletic office. So, going through this transition with Brian, and he's got certainly some big ideas and a way of doing things, and definitely an exciting time around CHC athletics, and I'm excited to see where he leads us.
As you said, you obviously, quite a bit of your time not in the office is devoted to your baseball program, obviously being the head coach and trying to defend a state championship. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. I'm curious, though, outside of baseball, how involved are you able to be with your other programs? Are you able to get out to other events, to games, to matches, talk with coaches, talk with other student athletes, and keep a good grasp on how things are going outside of your program?
Yeah, obviously the other spring sports is a little bit tougher to get to their events with baseball going on, but as far as the fall and winter sports, I try to get to as many as I can as far as their home games go and away games even. Constantly communicating with the head coaches and trying to get to know the players as best as I can. It helps being in the building full time all day long. Just even today, just running down to the coffee bar and giving knuckles to all the athletes that are down there and just kind of spending some time chatting with them and how their lives are going. So it's a great community to be a part of, and it's fun to just kind of be able to build relationships with these kids, obviously the baseball players, but even outside of that program.
So you mentioned it's obviously, tougher during the spring sports season to kind of keep tabs on what the other programs are doing because you have so many games to get in so many days and whatnot. What do you feel like during the springtime, some of the bigger challenges you have in this dual role of being in administration there at CHCA, but also, having a state power as a baseball coach?
Well, you're asking me right now, and I would say 100% the weather is the biggest number one issue to deal with. Just like obviously trying to figure out schedules and reschedule for my own baseball program, but then doing the same for softball and lacrosse and even track and field, and figuring out, okay, are we going to be able to play this game? Okay, we can't. Let's contact the other school. Can they host the game? Nope. Okay, let's figure out a common date that we can reschedule this game, and working that all out and working with our athletic department team here on busing and officials and everything that goes with putting on a game at the high school level. In addition to trying to figure out and communicate with my own team in the spring. It's probably when we get weather, when we see these storm clouds coming, that's usually we kind of lock in here in the athletic department. We know it's going to be a little bit of a hectic day.
At what point during these days and whatnot, we can focus on your baseball program. Do you have an administrator hat on, or do you have a head coach's hat on as far as the weather coming in when you have to make a determination, whether or not you think a game is going to be played? And obviously, the weather is going to do what it's going to do. You may have an instance where you postpone and it winds up being sunshine or vice versa. I'm sure that's happened a number of times. How do you balance that? Excuse me, trying to do the right thing by each of the schools, but also you obviously want to get these games in for your players too.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't think there's any any coach out there that ever wants to cancel a game. You always want to play. That's why you put in all the time and the work. And so you can see these guys go out, and these guys and girls go out and do what they love. And so you never want to cancel a game. At the same time, whether you're a coach or an administrator, you do want to make sure that it's safe and conditions are safe, and we don't want kids getting hurt. It's not worth any game to see a kid go out and get hurt because of the field conditions. So yeah, it's kind of that dual role. And I think coaches would agree with that. Even if coaches are pushing to play the game, they don't want to put their players in a position where they're going to be injured because of the surface. So yeah, it's a little tricky at times because the baseball coach in me wants to play every single game, no matter if it's, we got 2 inches of water on the field or not. But at the same time, got to pump the brakes a little bit and make sure it's safe for our kids.
Do you feel like it maybe gives you somewhat of an advantage, so to speak, that you have both these roles as an administrator and head coach? And what I mean by that is the ability to have relationships with other administrators and also coaches, because not everybody's able to foster that type of dynamic when you're reaching out to other schools to talk about reschedules, to talk about moving games. Does that make it easier for you that you hold both roles, that you can call up an athletic director as easy as you can call up another head coach?
Yeah, it does. I mean, number one, it's, just not having any other, job during the day. This is my full-time job. So being able to focus on that and trying to work relationships and work out how can we get games in, how can we schedule, being able for that to be my focus, other than where a lot of coaches they're teachers, or they just work a different job outside the building, and so they got to split their focus on that. I get to kind of concentrate on that and make it so we have the best possible experience possible for our players.
Switching gears and let's talk about your baseball program now, and we'll spend the rest of the program, excuse me, doing that. Obviously, a very special season a year ago, to win a state championship. That's not an easy thing to do. Your team wound up doing it. You come back to start this year, opening against Deer Park a couple of weeks ago, and get to honor those champions from last year, and do it by putting a little hardware on the fingers and giving out rings for state championships. I know Brian said it's a new opportunity that you've been able to provide for the kids, to give them that kind of recognition that they can wear something forever that's on their finger that says, I'm a state champion. What looking back on just that day alone, what were your memories of that day, being able to give out rings to your state champions, and then obviously, taking care of business, beating Deer Park 15-1?
Yeah, that was a fun day. Obviously it was opening day in general is always a good day, getting out on the field for the first time in a real game against a team that's wearing a different color jersey. That's always going to be a fun day for us. But you put on top of that, after the game's over, we get to honor our state championship club. Was a really special time for us. And more than anything, it's just, being able, number one, to get, a few of the seniors from last year were able to get back and get their rings, and seeing those guys was awesome. But just knowing that we're presenting these guys, not, it's not necessarily just about, the ring and the actual hardware, but really just presenting these guys. This is something that stands for something. It's something that, they're going to be able to, 10, 15 years from now, show their kids and say, hey, in 2021, we did something really special that no other team at CHCA had done before, and they get to tell their story. That to me is more special than anything. They get to come back, bring their kids here, whether it's homecoming or whatever, and show the kids, hey, that state championship trophy right there, I was a part of that, and that was something special that I'll never forget. Those are the things that mean the most to me. I mean, the actual winning of the tournament was amazing, but that's not really what it's about. I think it's about the experience for these players, and then the fact that this is going to live beyond me. It's gonna be, we were the first team to do it, and our players, kids and grandkids, are going to be able to see the fruits of our labor, and that's really what's the most special thing.
As a head coach, did it make you just as happy to see that the guys went out and handled business on opening day, that they didn't, they weren't caught looking ahead to the end of the day to
Right.
getting their rings and whatnot? They were able to focus on the task at hand and treat this as the start of a new season. And as I said, really take it to Deer Park and winning that one 15-1.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's always that's our number one goal. That's why, I kind of wanted to, in discussions with Brian, hey, when should we do this ring ceremony? We discussed about, do we do it as a big event in the middle of the season? And my thought was let's get it opening day and kind of get it out of the way. Not necessarily get it out of the way. It was a special thing. We wanted to make sure we did it right. But also didn't want it, over our heads as the season goes on. So it was nice to do that first day, and it was, a testament to our kids' mental focus and ability to compartmentalize and take care of business. And then once that was done, celebrate, the last year's team.
It's really spearheaded kind of an offensive onslaught early on in the season. You're scoring a lot of runs. You've scored at least 6 runs in every game. You've scored double-digit runs 4 different times, more than 11 runs in 4 different games. At what point in the offseason did you look at what you had coming back, and with some new guys coming up to the varsity program, did you think your offense would be able to score the way they're scoring, at least early on in the season?
When did I look at that and see? Probably the day after we won the state championship last year. I looked ahead, we were kind of, our coaching staff, we loved it. We celebrated it. And the next day we were kind of looking at the next year and planning for that already. And, we knew we had quite a bit of our lineup coming back, quite a bit of our pitching coming back. But yeah, we knew we had some firepower for the 2022 season. Coach John Sullivan, our hitting coach, is the hitting guru of Cincinnati. And he does a great job preparing our guys, getting them ready, not only physically, but mentally and their approach at the plate. And so, it's more of a testament to him and our guys' work ethic than anything that I do. But we knew we had some talent coming back, and so far in the first couple of weeks in the season, they've gone out and done it.
How do you feel like these guys that have come back, as you said, a lot of firepower offensively, you've got some pitchers back as well. How do you feel like they are embracing the target that they have on them? As you said, you're the first program. Last year was the first year you've been able to win a state title there. So this is the first time anyone's had to go through this, yourself included. But for your players that are back from a year ago, how do you feel like they've embraced that early on in the season, that the target on them and the intention on them is even bigger because you've got the hardware to prove what you did a year ago?
Yeah, I think they really have embraced it. They know that it doesn't matter who we're going to play. We're going to get everyone's best every single game. We're going to get their best pitcher. They're going to throw their best pitcher at us. They're going to, they're going to be their schedule. They have us circled. They want to beat us more than anyone on their schedule. And really that's a badge of honor for us, and it shows the respect that other programs have for us. So we take it as an honor, and we also don't take it lightly. We know that every single game is going to be a battle, and we have to play our best game in order to win. And our guys have really embraced that, and they've really done a good job of mentally preparing and not being, our kind of war cry, I guess if you want to call it, is never done. And that's been our war cry for a few years now. And even after winning a state title, okay, we're never done. We're looking on what is the next thing, whether it's our seniors graduating and going out into the real world. What's next for them, and never done, and keep pushing. For the guys coming back, yeah, winning a state title was amazing last year, but let's build a legacy here instead of resting on what we did in the past year. Let's move forward and really try to do something special. So they've done a great job embracing that and really taking that challenge to heart.
Has it changed how you approach the off season, how you've approached the early part of the season as the head coach? Have you changed any kind of different philosophies, how you manage things, your messaging, anything like that?
From a physical standpoint, not really. We've kind of done the same thing last couple of years that we always do in the off season as far as preparing our bodies. From a mental and spiritual standpoint, I would say we've really tried to work hard on that end of things. We have something that we do every single day called the mental minute, where it's we've incorporated breathing and meditation and just mental focus and being able to um, prepare our minds, prepare our psyches for making plays in big moments. And because you can't replicate pressure in practice. And so being able to train your mental side to perform no matter what the circumstances are. So we've really taken a big step towards that in the off season and in season. Coach Billy Pohl, our assistant varsity coach, and Coach Kevin Savage have really taken that role and done some amazing things with our guys from a spiritual and mental standpoint. And I really think it's helped.
We'll talk about a couple of the individual guys that are off to torrid starts thus far, and Ty Yelton and Jack Vogel both hitting. And I know it's early in the season, and we're only 6 games in. You're 5-1. Your only losses to Baden, who won the D2 state title last year. So that's no harm in that result there. But nevertheless, Ty and Jack are both hitting over 700 through the first couple of weeks of the season, and a healthy number of at bats too. They're not just going 5 for 7, and getting the occasional pinch hit here. They're in a normal rotation every game out here. What has been the key to them just coming up to the plate and seemingly having such a good eye and ripping the cover off the ball so well so far?
I think you just said it right there. It's plate discipline, understanding what pitch they're looking for early in the count, hunting the fastball early, and getting their pitch and putting a good swing on it. I think it's been the biggest thing for Ty Yelton is making that transition, being selective but aggressive inside the zone, understanding what he can do. And he's been clutch. He's come up with some big hits with runners in scoring position, big hits with 2 outs. And then Jack Vogel, that dude he's just an animal. I don't know any other way to describe him. He is just an animal at the plate, on the base paths, in center field. He just gets it done, and he's hard to beat. He's one of the toughest outs I've ever seen at the high school level. And so I'm really excited to not only see what he's going to do for us this season, the rest of the season, but he's going to do some big things at the next level as well.
Have you had a moment or two at this point in the season where they do something at the plate, a 12 pitch at bat, or they slap one the other way in a clutch situation, and you just have a moment where you look at your coach, assistant coaches, and just laugh because they've done something else again? It's like, oh, yep, they did it again.
Yeah, I think we've had that with Jack quite a bit in the last couple of years, especially defensively. I can remember several last year with him in center field where balls drive is hit to the gap, and we're like, oh, and then he'll run it down and make a diving catch, and we just look at each other like, are you kidding me? Did he just really do that? So for sure for him, I think all tournament last year with guys coming up clutch in big situations, the staff just kind of looks at each other like, man, these guys are special. So yeah, it's been really cool to see that. Yeah.
So we're coming off a state championship, as we've talked about here, the first one in program history, and we're 6 games into this season where we're looking to repeat that aspect of it and try and get back there and defend that state championship. Do you think you have a team here that can get it done again? And also, where do you see this team at this point in the season compared to that state title team a year ago?
Yeah, even though we've got quite a few guys back, it's definitely a different team. It's a different dynamic in the clubhouse. It's a different dynamic in the dugout, even on the field, our lineup. So it's definitely not the same team. So it's not going to be a carbon copy. You're not going to see the same brand of baseball, or the same type of baseball, I should say. You are going to see the same brand of baseball. The way they play, they play the game hard. They play the game fast, aggressive. And so, I think in that aspect it is similar, but it's definitely a different team, even though we've got so many returning. But really, we're not looking too far ahead right now. Obviously, when we get to the tournament time, we'll be focused on defending. But right now, I think they do a good job of taking it game by game, and not to use, cliches or anything like that, but they really are focused on the task at hand, game in and game out, and just one pitch at a time, and doing their job, and not really focused on anything past that.
So to quote Crash Davis, you're just happy to be here and hope you can help the ball club. Is that right?
I hope we can help the ball club. Yeah.
Well, you're certainly doing a great job of it. Obviously coming off a championship a year ago, and off to a good start this season, but also the duality role that you have there, the administrative side of things, not an easy thing to do, but you're on top of things there for sure, Tony. Greatly appreciate the time here, and best continued success going forward through the rest of this season.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That is CHCA Assistant Athletic Director and Head Baseball Coach Tony Schulz joining us for This Week in Inside CHCA Eagles Athletics here on CHCAEagles.com and ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.